Black Lives Matter have been providing threats to the mayor of New York. They are threatening that if they return to their former policing model, that they are going to riot and burn the city down, more or less.
So when you say mayor of New York, you mean Bill de Blasio?
Well, he's like the mayor-elect, I think it is.
I'm pretty sure he's the current mayor, and the new guy, I forget his name, the black guy, is the mayor-elect. Yeah.
Yeah. I'm getting mixed up here. It's the caffeine again. That's what's doing it. So, just a reminder what happened with Defund the Police. In New York City, in particular, New York City officials agreed to a budget shift that roughly $1 billion from the police was moved, and that resulted in a 130% increase in shootings in 2020 over 2019, and murders increased in every borough. So, transparently not good.
A complete failure.
Yes, and this is true across many other cities. If you go to the reading list on our site, you'll be able to find this article which goes through all of the different places which defunded their police and the implications of the crime rate. Obviously, everywhere that did it saw a spike in crime, as can be expected.
As horrible as it is, it does sound a little bit funny. I need what's the dum bum bum behind the whole thing?
Oh, you mean the Curb Your Enthusiasm music?
Curb Your Enthusiasm, yeah. Yes.
So in the interest of time, I'm going to skip to the New York Post article. I've got a few links that were talking about what they were actually asking for, but we know what they want. They want to defund the police, right?
Yes, they want the Black Oasis paradise.
So this New York Post article titled BLM leader threatens riots, fire and bloodshed in New York City if Eric Adams gets tough on crime. And I'm reading from the article here. A Black Lives Matter elected leader vowed there'll be riots, fire and bloodshed if Mayor-elect Eric Adams, that's who I meant, Mayor-elect, not the actual mayor.
That's who you mean.
Follows through with his promise to bring back plainclothes anti-crime cops to battle New York's surge in violent crime. And this leader is the New York's BLM co-founder, Hawk Newsom, who people may be familiar with because he comes up with some ridiculous stuff and seems to get a lot of airtime in the media despite being a lunatic, in my opinion.
It sounds like a typical BLM member.
Yeah, he is a good emblem of his movement in general. So his counter to the proposed measures to reintroduce police to combat gun crime is to threaten to burn the city down, which, doesn't that just reinforce the point that you need to be tougher on this sort of thing?
To threaten behaviour that would inherently require more police officers. Mm-hmm. So this is an own goal.
Terrible optics from Black Lives Matter, but
if you hire more police, we'll kill you. And what are you going to do if we don't hire more police? Well, probably kill you as well, but still.
Oh, it's ridiculous. So Adams, of course, is a former New York Police Department captain, so he's obviously not going to take any of this. Yeah, he knows how it works. He knows how the police work.
Yeah, I'm aware that he was actually a Democrat candidate as well, which is quite surprising. But I'm also aware that in New York, you do have to be quite tough on crime just because of the way that the city operates. Yeah. And also it's been said that people, because of the way that the city is organised with the streets and the subways, that even if you are what you could call an establishment elite, you're still going to be having to go on the subways all the time. You're still going to have to be rubbing shoulders with the plebs and the potential criminal elements. So you do need that deterrent against criminals.
Absolutely,
just because of the fact that everybody is affected by it in the city.
So there has been a resurgence in Black Lives Matter actually saying, well, we helped the Democrats get elected and now they've dropped us and they're angry about it. And this is one of those great cases where...
This was a recurring theme immediately after the election, wasn't it?
I mean, this is something that we were saying before even the election happened.
It was obvious.
Yeah, that the Democrats were just using them. And as soon as they got into office, they would drop them and... Look what happened.
And BLM turned out to be the kinds of useless idiots, useful idiots that they always appeared to be.
So, to quote Hawk Newsom, the Black Lives Matter co-founder, if they think they're going back to the old ways of policing, then we're going to take to the streets again. There will be riots, there will be fire, there will be bloodshed. That's the full quote which he said. So I'm not taking out of context. That is literally what he said explicitly. I think that should be inciting violence, to be
Yes,
honest.
that is
It's amazing that he's allowed to say that, but okay. And he said that to ignore the history and say you're bringing it back means he's tone deaf.
Wasn't the history that it was very successful?
Well, yeah.
Yeah, there you go.
They
That's
had
his big
less
problem.
crime.
You put all of my best friends in jail.
Well, what he goes on to explain is that Adams, through his campaign, promised to bring back a reinvented version of the anti-crime unit, but the unit was dissolved after the deaths of some high-profile cases of black people being killed by plainclothes police officers, and this is what they're freaking out about. And it's ridiculous that these people are allowed to make threats openly and still, run around free.
Well, they do it in the name of the cause of racial justice, whether or not the term justice is being used correctly or not. So therefore, that gives them a free pass to do and say whatever it is they want.
However, Adams has been completely undeterred, and he has stressed that he's going to double down on his strategy of reintroducing the same policing standards that were pre-Black Lives Matter, pre-Defund the Police.
Good.
So at least things will get better, even though he may be a Democrat. But at least he's a police officer and understands.
There's only so much I can hope for, but maybe he'll lift the mandates in New York as well. We can only hope.
Yeah, hopefully. So what I'd like to move on to is, I'm skipping over a few things again, is the Attorney General tells Indiana public schools to treat Black Lives Matter as a political organisation.
Good.
So the Indiana's public schools should be...
it's the Yahoo article, John.
Yeah, sorry. Black Lives Matter movement as a political group. The Attorney General, Todd Rokita, I think it is, said on Thursday, potentially limiting the ability of schools and teachers to promote the Black Lives Matter message in classrooms, which is good because obviously there's been this ongoing debate about schooling and critical race theory, and of course the gubernatorial elections were very much centred around...
Yes, Virginia...
yeah, that's the one.
Virginia, what was his name? Youngkin got voted in against Terry McAuliffe, primarily, it seems, on the basis of even primarily Democratic voters worrying that what was going to happen is that their kids were being brainwashed in schools through critical race theory. All of the Democratic nominees and people were saying that critical race theory doesn't happen. That's not what goes on in the classrooms. And then you had people like James Lindsay pointing out on Twitter, here's a document from the Virginia school district saying that what we're teaching is influenced by critical race theory. So they weren't able to go back on that. And it got to the point where Terry McAuliffe and a number of other people were just basically saying, parents shouldn't have any say in what their kids learn anyway.
That's so transparent, isn't it? I mean, I know that they think it, but actually saying it explicitly in the run-up to an election as well, that's
a mask-off moment if I've ever seen one.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, BLM are an explicitly political organisation. I know people have always denied it, but I don't know if they themselves have ever denied it. All you need to do is go onto their website and you can see pages upon pages of political demands. We want this, we want this, we want this. They are a mass lobbying group for their own political interests.
Well, I mean, approaches to crime in general are political, aren't they?
I mean, obviously.
It's something in which it's a trade-off between security and freedom, and therefore it is definitely the domain of politics.
And the fact that they're a political lobbying group in and of itself, is, as much as I'm not a particularly big fan of most of them, is not inherently enough to condemn them. It's the fact that in the process of doing so, they have encouraged violence, they've encouraged riots, and they've also perpetuated a number of hoaxes in the process of what you could call it agitating for their political goals.
Well, they've faked hate crimes and stuff like that. I know there's a case of a guy who spray painted a swastika backwards on a wall and then pretended that there was some kind of white supremacy problem, and it actually turned out it was him because they recorded it on
BLM
CCTV.
Stood behind him the whole time going like, we need to protect this poor gentle soul.
So the final thing I wanted to mention was that Oxford University, so this is still going on in the UK as well. It's not just the States.
We're all collectively
should hand
losing
back
our minds.
dirty Mosley money, says Black Lives Matter. So supposedly, the Telegraph revealed that Oxford University was given $6 million from a charitable trust set up by Max Mosley, who is the son of Oswald Mosley, who was the leader of the British Union of Fascists. But he is not his father. And he has inherited this money from his father, which he then gave to a charity. So,
Oh, okay.
I mean,
So is it the charity directly who gave the money to
Oxford University, but
Oxford?
just simply because it came from the son of someone who was a fascist, all of a
Yes.
sudden is grounds for them to freak out and be like, well, you're accepting this money from this person as if he'd
Okay.
inherited his father's sins. I don't know much about his
Didn't-
politics or anything, but
Yeah, I'm pretty sure they point out here that Max Mosley, they say that Max Mosley published racist and abusive election literature about the Windrush generation. Given the sorts of people this is coming from, I'm not going to take their word for
Yeah.
that. But also there's the question of, like whether or not the money came from a particular source. The university is free to do whatever it is that they wish with that money. They could do some very good things with it.
well, say he actually was a so-called racist. Wouldn't it be a moral thing to take that large amount of money away from him and invest it into Oxford University, where they can open educational programs? Surely that would be the moral thing to do, almost. If bad people, as they put it, I don't know anything about the guy, if they want to donate money to the university, surely that should be encouraged, because then they
Yes.
have less money to go about their political aims, right?
It's good when BLM have money to push their political aims. It's not good when people opposite the aisle to them have money to do the same.
And it's not like if you donate money to a university, they're all of a sudden tied to teach your beliefs. It's not like it comes with a caveat. You're just like, yeah, you're destined to teach exactly what I say.
I suppose that this is the iron law of woke projection, as James Lindsay would put it forward, that BLM are assuming that this is what Oxford are going to be tied to, primarily because if BLM were to put forward a similar amount of money for Oxford, they would do it with the express goal of only wanting them to use that money for what they wanted, rather than just going, here's money, carte blanche, do what you want with it. And plus, if you're on the topic of fascists, didn't the US already accept a number of Nazi scientists, like in the 1940s and 1950s, to work on experiments and other such things? So it's not like there's I'm sure BLM would push this as an
don't let them know about that, because they're going to be like, yeah, they invented like the TV or something.
Yeah, throw away your TVs.
Yeah, they're racist.
Yeah.
So yeah, it just seems ridiculous that it seems like they're trying to stir the pot again, because they've fallen out of favour, particularly in the States, where the Democrats have basically disenfranchised them to the point where they feel like they have no insider influence anymore, which is a good thing, in my opinion.
Absolutely.
But it seems like it's kind of foreshadowing some kind of large-scale disruptions, as we saw in 2020.
Thanks for watching this clip from the podcast of the Lotus Eaters. We broadcast live on lotuseaters.com at 1 PM UK time every weekday. And we also have loads more content that we don't put on YouTube, such as the memes and video comments from our community. Every week we also have new episodes of our regular series, Contemplations and Epochs. In Contemplations, Josh explores interesting and diverse topics, such as the science behind the need for fathers in the home, or why people believe in ghosts and the paranormal. In Epochs, Bo and I go on, often at length, about various events and periods in history that are particularly fascinating. We've just finished a 5-part mini-series on the 100 Years' War, which I particularly enjoyed right up until the end of it when, spoiler alert, the French won. Alongside our excellent team of in-house writers, we also commission articles from outside contributors, and silver and gold tier subscribers have access to an audio recording of each premium article, so you don't have to read it yourself. We interview various contemporary thinkers and entertainers, as well as host the recordings of our live events. We also have a series of premium video content on the site, which we think is particularly worthwhile, or we simply can't put on YouTube because their editorial policies prohibit reasonable discussion on the subject. Personally, I think the deep dives we've been doing into critical theory and critical race theory are most important, as we reveal the origins of intersectionality and the plan that the radical left has for our societies. We are funded almost exclusively by our subscribers, so if you'd like to join us in the work we're doing, head over to lotuseaters.com and we'll see you there.